What's good, everybody? It is Travis. We are entering into another episode of Box Breaks. And we did something last week. I thought it was kind of fun. I don't know if it was... there was some good responses last week to what we put out. And so I'm hoping that we can do a few more of these How Do I videos. Last week we talked about taking two commander decks, some two pre-con decks, and melding them together and trying to think about what you leave in, what you take out, what you maximize, what you minimize, so on and so forth. And there were some good comments that were made after the video as well. So today we're going to do something a little bit different in the sense that we talked about more of a constructed format last time. Today we're going to talk about draft. And how in the world do I play draft? One of the things I've always believed to be true is that draft is the style of play preferred by what I would say are really, really good players. The people who are great players that I've known throughout the years have always enjoyed draft. Now, they enjoy other styles of play as well, but they've always loved draft. What's up, Lloyd? Good to see you. And so we're going to jump in today. We're going to talk a little bit about draft. We're going to talk about kind of some general ideas about draft, and then we're going to talk about specifically Wilds of Eldraine draft boosters, and that's the set that's current right now. We're just going to use it kind of as a case study to talk about how we might think about drafting Wilds of Eldraine and how we might categorize some of the cards so you'd know what to pick. I'm not in any way, shape, or form a draft master. I don't know if I've ever even won a draft tournament. But I enjoy playing draft. It's challenging. And so we're going to get into that and see what is in store. And then we're going to wrap up today with a couple things. A special announcement about a new style of play that's going to be available at Comix. It's not new for like the game of Magic, but like new for the store that will be available soon. And we're going to open up a collector booster. So without further ado, hey, let's get into it. All right. So, been doing some research because I know what I think is the best way to go about it, but I also know that there's a lot of people out there that really know their stuff when it comes to drafting. You saw the cards that we're going to open here in a little bit. Draft boosters, and there's the Doctor Who collector pack. Anyway, so I don't have any really fancy graphics, so I'm going to try to say what I'm going to say quickly. But here's kind of what I understand when you're drafting. So you get 3 packs. Obviously, there's your 3 packs. There's our 3 packs for the day. So you get 3 packs, you sit in a pod. Typically, your ideal number is 8 people that you're going to sit in a pod with. Sometimes you'll have like 9, and it would be weird to have in a 5 and a 4 pod, so you just do 9. If you have 10, typically I think the most stores will break it up into 2 pods of 5, just so it goes a little bit more quickly, and the decks are more consistent that way. But you never know. A lot of times it's up to the discretion of the tournament organizer. Your goal after you have drafted is that you're going to come away with a 40 card deck. So how you get from 3 packs to a 40 card deck is that you open a pack, like everyone else at the table. Everyone selects one of their packs. They open it. They take the card they want out of that pack, and they pass it to the left. And then the next round, after those cards have all been passed to the next player, then everyone takes another card out of the pack. And it goes, they just continue to rotate until everyone has taken a card from each pack, and then it keeps going back around a second time, depending on how big the pod is. Now, if you have a pod of 14, which I do not recommend, then you only get 1 card out of each pack. But if you have a pod of like 8, you're going to get a second card out of that pack. So you have to make decisions based on like, okay, what do I think is going to come back around? And you'll get a general idea of like, it's a little, when you go between rounds, so like when you go to the next pack, you pass right, and then the last time you pass left. So on that second left pack, you're going to have a better idea of what people at the table are taking from that direction. You may find that your experience on the second pack, the middle pack, is different because it goes the other way. And people change their strategy throughout. I would encourage you, as you draft, try to let the pack tell you what you're going to build. Don't go into it with like a preconceived notion of what you want to build. You really have to let the cards, and this is going to sound cheesy, but you have to let the pack speak to you and tell you what you want to build. So your 3 packs, you're going to come away with a 40 card deck. You're going to then build a deck. So you're going to have 22 to 23 spells, 17 to 18 lands, depending on number of colors. Ideally, you're probably not going to be able to. It would be great to be able to run a monocolored draft deck. It just simply doesn't happen. Maybe on very rare occasion it would happen. But 2 color is a good number. Sometimes you're forced to go 3. Sometimes you go 2, but you splash a 3rd. Because you have the mana fixing available and you have like a bomb card that you really want. Like maybe you pull a bomb card out of the first pack, and then it's like, I didn't really get any support for that, but I really still want to play it. So you find a way to, use mana fixing to get it into the deck. But the other thing I would say is, you're basically gonna pull 5 different kinds of cards out of the deck. I've already mentioned one of them, bombs. Bombs are those cards that are basically like game winners. If they hit the table, your opponent has to deal with them. Okay? It's just not an option. The second thing is removal. You want to be able to deal with other threats that are at the table. And that can come in a variety of ways. Like blue removal is more like counter spells, where white removal is kind of like either exiling or locking things down. Each color has kind of its own flavor of removal. You're also going to want to have things that I would say would be like evasion, things that help you get attackers through, things that help you to not just run up against a brick wall, but how to get around, flying, things like that. First strike is kind of evasion. It's kind of like death touch is kind of evasion because no one wants to block death touch. Then you want to have aggro. So aggro, basically the way I understand aggro is that these are going to be creatures that fill in your mana curve. So you don't want to have a bunch of high converted mana cost stuff. You don't want to have a bunch of low to no converted mana cost stuff. You want to have a good distribution. And really your biggest distribution is going to be your 2 to 3 drops and your 4 to 5 drops is really where you're going to have the most. 1 to 2 drops and 3 to 4 drops are where you're going to have your highest concentration of cards. And then finally, the last kind of card you're going to draft is going to be your dirt cards. The cards that you draft and that you may play. You put it in your sideboard. It might be situational cards that like remove an artifact, for instance. That's a pretty niche card. A niche card. And you may not want to play that in your main deck, but you might have it as a sideboard in case you come up with a deck against a deck that has heavy artifact presence and you want to be able to deal with that. Or your dirt cards may just be stuff that aren't going to work for your deck when it comes down to it. You may not think you're drafting a card that's a dirt card at the time, but you will find out later. So the reason I use that is because it's actually an acronym. Bombs, removal, evasion, aggro, dirt, bread. I love acronyms. I also love bread. So, last thing I would say when you get into it, and we're going to open up some packs now, is what's the most fun sets you've drafted? Oh my. So actually, honestly, and this is going to kind of bleed into our discussion later. I really like Chaos Draft. I don't know if you've ever done Chaos Draft before, but you actually just pull 3 packs, and everybody has the same 3 packs, but like you decide and you're going to draft these 3 different sets at the same time. I've really enjoyed doing that. Let's see. Back in the day, I really liked the Tarkir. Was it Khans of Tarkir and Dragons of Tarkir? I really liked that set. Now that's probably dating me there. That makes me pretty old. But that was a really fun set to draft. There was a set that I didn't realize was not going to be any fun. I found myself with a Legions box. I don't know if you're familiar with the set Legions. Turns out Legions is all creatures. Like literally, it's like so full of creatures, and which is fine. I mean, creatures are good. You need creatures in a draft deck, but it was absolutely zero fun to draft. Lorwyn. Okay, so yeah, so you're back in the day too. That's a little bit older than the Cons of Tarkir set block, but yeah, for sure. Legions. It was a great set for tribal, absolutely. But man, I don't know why I didn't realize it. I don't know why I just didn't do my research. And so that leads me to the last thing I'm going to say. Become familiar with the set that you're going to draft. Know what you're drafting. If you're drafting Legions, yeah, don't. So, and when I say like get familiar, listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos, look at visual spoilers, just be familiar. So, for instance, if we were going to go through, we were going to do some recon. I'm going to push this guy back over here to the left. If we're going to do some recon on Wilds of Eldraine, we would find out things like there's some new mechanics that are coming into play with Wilds of Eldraine. Adventure is coming back. So when I say new, like there was adventure stuff before, but Wilds of, like the Eldraine block really is kind of where adventures find their home. There's an ability called, or a keyword called bargain, and that requires that you sacrifice something, an artifact or a token or an enchantment, I think. And it's kicker, basically. It's like kicker, but if you sacrifice something, one of those three things, you get something extra. So having extra tokens and token producers would be good with that. Rolls, those are also tokens, but those are like kind of like enchantments at the same time. So you could have a rolls and use bargain mechanics at the same time. Celebration is one of those abilities that if is it 2 spells? So it can be a spell or a token that come into play, that then you can it triggers an additional ability. It like gives it a buff. So I think it's +0, +2, or +2, +0 until end of turn. Maybe, yeah. So then there's other things that return in the set, like food, which is a token thing. Sagas are kind of limited in this set. And then stun is another ability that makes a return in this set, which is kind of like it's a way to kind of lock down your opponent's characters. So we're going to open some packs. There's obviously lots of things that you will find, like there are things that like certain color combinations want to do, right? So when you're drafting, your token and your land will come out immediately. Oh yeah, so in this set there's also Enchanting Tales. I mean, a lot of times they're not great in limited format. They're not going to be good. Like Blood Moon is not going to be good for your draft deck. It's just not. Okay. However, you might go, oh, I really need a Blood Moon for my commander deck. So at that point, you have to decide, do I want to try to be competitive in this, or do I want to get stuff for my commander deck? Or what they call rare drafting. And people do that. And I'm generally okay with that, but I also don't want to hear someone complaining how bad their deck is when they rare drafted. And they walked away with a good amount of cards, but it just was simply not like it wasn't a good draft because they weren't drafting to draft. So, I do it too. Well, and the other way people draft without, well, I don't think this is necessarily without drafting their own deck in mind, but like hate drafting. So I draft this because I'm not playing these colors, but I don't want anyone else to have this card. Okay, so and that's legitimate. So as you go through, so we got to start thinking, okay, so what are the bombs? What are the removal? What's the evasion? What's the aggro? What's the dirt? So Blood Moon, I think, is definitely not draftable. It is hate drafting is a valid tactic. But if it comes like, I get it. Like if you're doing it like, a few cards in, maybe you're like 5 or 6 cards in, and maybe you're on your third pack, and so what's not making it back to you, and there's a card that someone's going to use. If it's a color that no one's taking, I mean, I've sat at draft tables where no one is taking white, for instance. Okay, so like all the packs are like entirely white when you get to the end. So some people will determine, you know what, I'm going to switch. And if you do that, you just hope that no one else makes that same choice. You hope that you're the only one that has switched. All right, so we go through rotisserie elemental, menace. Okay, so menace is a form of evasion. Okay, so I would put that in our E section, and we'll make a little. So BREAD. So I'm going to put that in the dirt section. We're going to put rotisserie elemental in evasion. Okay, destroy target tapped creature. So we're going to call this, I'm sorry, BRE. We're going to put that in removal. Okay, and then so that's really good. So, but it also could be an evasion because it's a flyer. So that sometimes that's the thing to say, that sometimes cards straddle both sides. Now, obviously, you're not going to get you're not going to go through and take all the cards out of one. So this is just for us to go through and go, okay, where would these fall? Okay, here we go. Celebration. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if 2 or more non-land permanents entered the battlefield under your control this turn, target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains menace until end of turn. That is evasion. Okay, so we have a saga. Create a 1/1 white human creature token, create food token, put X 1/1 counters on target creature you control, where X is the 1 plus the number of foods you control. Okay, so this one, you're like, I don't know really where this one falls. It doesn't really fall in a bomb. It's definitely not a bomb. It's definitely not removal. It's definitely not evasion. Could it be part of our aggro strategy? Yeah, it could be, because you're going to put tokens into play. So we'll just, and it's a 2-drop, so we'll put that in our aggro. So a flyer, and it creates a royal token attached to another target creature. So we're going to call that evasion, flying. Okay, prophetic prism. Okay, this is one of the best mana fixers. Well, I say best, one of the only, and one of the best mana fixers. So prophetic prism will definitely go in. See, but it doesn't fall into any of these categories, right? So it's not a bomb. It's not a da-da-da. But this is something that you need as far as support. So I would throw this over in the aggro. Or you could put it in dirt. And just there's like a 5th pile that's not involved at all, that I would never draft. So Blood Moon would fall into that category. It's way over here. Poor guy. I have no bombs yet. Okay, so Red Cap Thief enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. Okay, so that's going to go over in our aggro section. Okay, he's a 2/3, he's a 3-drop. He creates tokens. This guy has reach, but he has an additional, you can play an additional land this turn. Okay, so again, he's a big guy. He's a 5-drop. He would probably go in the aggro section, but he's one of those guys that he's big, but he also gives you some mana fixing ability. But the problem is that you have to have it in hand first. So it's like, maybe. Target creature gets +1/+1, gains first strike until end of turn, and scry 1. We're going to put that under evasion. So this one, Hamlet Glutton. Okay, so he's huge. 5 and 2 green, bargain. Okay, so you can sacrifice an enchantment, a token, or an artifact as you cast a spell. The spell costs 2 less if you cast this bargain. If it's bargained. So instead of 7, it can cost 5. It's a little bit better. Trample. When he enters the battlefield, you gain 3. So this guy might, depending on what you get, bombs are in the eye of the beholder. Okay, Hamlet Glutton might be a bomb. Okay, you put him down, he's 6/6, he's trample, he's problematic. And if you have ways of making him bigger, giving him +1/+0, giving him first strike, he's going to be a problem. Something that has to be dealt with. Destroy target enchantment. If a permanent you control or a token was destroyed this way, draw a card. So you have removal. Okay, it is very specific removal. That card will be maybe drafted as removal, but it will probably maybe end up in your sideboard. By the way, everything you don't include in your draft deck is your sideboard. Just want to clear that up. Quick study. Draw 2 cards. Okay, this is going to go over in our dirt section. Okay, it's good. It's going to help us draw cards, but it may or may not. It's a 3-drop, so it may or may not make it into the deck. Up to one target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. You create a 1/1 black rat creature token. This creature can't block. 1 drop, creates a body, and it can be removal if it's a small enough creature. So you could put it in aggro or removal, either one. I'm going to throw it in aggro because it's going to give us another body on the instant speed. All right, so second pack. Now, obviously, again, we're not going to go through and open every single pack and get all the cards out of every pack. This is not a sealed environment, but this is just kind of an example to go through. Okay, so just putting this stuff up here to be a placeholder. BREAD. We're going to put our Blood Moon upside down there. All right, Brave the Wilds. So it's a bargain card. If the spell was bargain, you can control target land you control becomes 3/3 elemental creature with haste, and it's still a land. And you can search your library for a card. Okay, this is a great ramp spell. It's a 1-drop. You can go look for a basic land card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle it, and it's a 1-drop. So I'm going to put that in our aggro. It's going to help ramp us. It's going to give us a body on the field. So Knightly Valor. This is another of the enchanting tales. Knightly Valor, enchant creature. When Knightly Valor enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has vigilance. Okay, so it's not evasion. It does put a body in the field and it does pump stuff, and so I put that over in my aggro section. The Goose Mother. Okay, the Goose Mother, 2/2 flying. Definitely an evasion creature with flying. The Goose Mother enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. When the Goose Mother enters the battlefield, create half X food tokens rounded up. Whenever the Goose Mother attacks, you may sacrifice a food. If you do, draw a card. Okay, so Goose Mother isn't a bomb, but Goose Mother definitely is an evasion card. It's a flyer. It also can put bodies on the field, which is nice. Okay, Abraya, flyer, flash. Whenever another fairy enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life. Okay, not a bomb at all, but it's definitely an evasion card. It's a flyer. There are a decent number of flyers in this set, but having more flyers than your opponent's really good. So notice as we keep going through, whenever you tap one or more untapped creatures your opponents control, draw a card. So this is more of a removal. So it's a removal by tapping stuff down. And Charade is really good at that. Charade is actually probably, like, if you're gonna do tap down, that's probably gonna be, and it's blue-white. I don't know that we would have pulled everything, but if you're in blue-white and you see that card come through, you definitely want to have that in your deck. If blue-white is the color or the colors you're running. Cheeky House Mouse. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. It can't be blocked by creatures of power 3 or greater this turn. Evasion. For sure. Okay, Savior of the Sleeping. Sorry, I had the card above the screen there, my bad. Vigilance. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter. So, not bad. If you're running sagas, fantastic, because they will continue to go to the graveyard as they go through the last. By the way, also, as a saga is resolving, if a saga is on a stack and you tap, or if you play an instant with bargain, you can sacrifice it for bargain, and then the ability will still resolve on the enchantment on the saga. So that's kind of a cool, like, extra bonus that you can use that with. So again, this is one of those cards that's going to be aggro. It's going to be in your... Vigilance is not an evasion technique, so to speak, but it's something that you would add to your deck to kind of round out your mana curve. When Minstrosity dies, create a food token. 3/1, aggro. Straight aggro. Bestial Bloodline. Enchant creature gets +2/+2, and you can return it from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, so it's going to pump your creatures. This is one of those things that can be really, really good, especially if you have a creature like Hamlet Glutton on the field. That's just a problem already. To be able to add that to him, especially since it's on color, you can recur it. It's pretty nice. Skewer Slinger, reach. Whenever Skewer Slinger blocks or becomes blocked by a creature, Skewer Slinger deals 1 damage to that creature. So that could be removal, especially if they're smaller creatures. Root Rider Fawn, nice. Really good mana fixer in green. So if we were pulling green, we might have some good stuff going on. There's actually some decent green stuff in the packs we've pulled. Okay, now we're only going to see 2, maybe 3 cards out of each of these packs. So, hopefully 2, yeah. Sweet Tooth Witch. When she enters the battlefield, create a food token. Sacrifice food, target player loses 2 life. Definitely an aggro card, something that you would put in to round out your mana curve. Okay, Ice Out. Bargain. It's counter target spell. It's removal. It's blue's form of removal. And then Scream Puff, Death Touch. Whenever Scream Puff deals combat damage to a player, create a food token. I would really consider a Scream Puff as removal. Because it's one of those removals you can set on the field and go, okay, swing in. That's fine. Whatever you swing in with is going to die. Just letting you know that out front. And people really don't like swing into. There's a token for the enchantment. They really don't like swinging into Death Touch stuff. Leyline of Abundance. Nice. We're getting some really cool enchanting tales. The Blood Moon, this Leyline of Abundance. Spreading Seas. Again, not very many of these are really very good for limited play. Leyline of Abundance could be okay. And like as we're seeing green come through, it might be a card that we would potentially pick. I'm just kind of looking through real quick because I don't know if there's not a lot of green in here. So if we were playing green, of the 3 green cards that are in this pack, I don't know. I would have a hard time. See, the hard part about this is it's so expensive for its ability. And like this creates a royal token. This creates a royal token, and royal token is actually really good because it gives your creature ward and it gives it +1/+1. And so I feel like I would probably pull both of those before I would pull anything else. One other thing I want to note here, and I think I would probably not pull either of those cards. Spreading Seas is maybe the one I would be more likely to pull because it's a low mana cost. It lets you draw a card, and it creates an island, so it might be able to mana fix if you're playing like a blue something deck, and you don't have enough blue mana. You could play that on one of your mountains or one of your forests and turn it into an island so that it gives you the ability to mana fix. So maybe that would be down in my dirt pile. And I guess, technically speaking, the Blood Moon could do the same thing with your non-basic lands. But typically your non-basic lands in draft are going to be mana fixers anyway. So that would be kind of strange to do that. Although it would mess over other players. So, you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to put it down there in dirt. All right. Not that you can see that. I just realized that that's all covered up. My bad. Wonder if I can make enough room for it to be there. Be visible. All right. Yeah, kind of, sort of. Not really. Somewhat. Okay, so just for a reminder. Bombs, removal, evasion, aggro, and dirt. Target player mills 4 cards. Cruel Salmifrage's power and toughness are equal to the number of creatures or creature cards in all graveyards. Okay, so that, depending on when you get it in the game, could be a problem. That could be a bomb card. It could be huge by late game, and so it has to be dealt with. Beginning of your upkeep, an opponent controls more lands than you. Create a treasure token. Choose another player. That player gains control of target treasure you control. Draw a card. Okay, so it's kind of cool because it's a roundabout way for mana fixing. Because treasure tokens can be sacrificed to add 1 mana of any color. So I'm going to put that in our aggro because he's a creature that could have benefit if we find ourselves behind in mana. Okay, Archive Dragon, Flyer, Ward 2. When he enters the battlefield, he gets to scry 2. We're going to put him under Evasion. The E in our bread. Unassuming Sage. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 2. If you do, create a sorcerer roll token attached to it, which gives it +1/+1, and whenever it attacks, it gets to scry 1. I would put that in my aggro. Living Lectern. Draw a card, create a sorcerer roll token, attach up to 1 other target creature you control. Activate only as a sorcery. I'm going to put that in dirt. You might yell at me and say, no, it's good, it's a draw. It puts a sorcerer roll token. It is potentially good, and as far as being able to, put a roll on something. So if your bombs, you can add a roll to one of your bombs with that. That would be decent. The other thing you could use it for is there's a lot of stuff like, remember the bargain thing, if you sacrifice an artifact. So it's not a great artifact, so you play it and then you use it for its ability to put some roll tokens on creatures. Then you can sacrifice it, or you can sacrifice the rolls, because those can be used for bargain as well. Frantic Firebolt deals X damage to target creature. Okay, that's red removal. Bespoke Battle Garb. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. Beginning of combat on your turn, 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield under your control this turn. Attach Bespoke Battle Garb to up to 1 target creature you control. Because I don't know how you can attach it to. Anyway, I would put that potentially under bomb, because that would be a buff to one of your bomb creatures. Tap target creature an opponent controls and put 3 stun counters on it. That is a blue form of removal in this set. Wicked Visitor. When an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. Aggro. And then Vantress Transmuter. Tap target creature. Create a cursed roll token attached to it. So again, I would call that a removal card. Okay, so notice that for the packs that we open, there's not a lot of traditional removal, like exile, discard. There's just not a lot of that. So you have to play with, whatever the set will allow. You have to really kind of go with that. So it may not be your style of aggro, or it may not be your style of removal, or it may not be the kind of bombs you like to play, but you kind of have to let the packs tell you what you're gonna play. You can try to force it; it's possible, especially if there's if you see some stuff getting pulled. But there's nothing really in these packs that I would have considered like a bomb. Like, wow, that's huge. But some of those cards have the ability to be problematic, especially in the right situation in game. The one that was what was the black card? The Cruel Salamphage. Late in the game, that could be really problematic. The Hamlet Glutton, he's big, he's tramply, so that could potentially be really good too. All right, so 2 more things we're going to talk about, and then we're going to call it a day. Number 1, we are going to begin offering Cube Draft at Comix. We have a cube that is almost complete. It is a vintage cube. And then we are also going to be working on a popper cube that we'll be releasing probably a month later. It takes a while to put them together. And so all the events that we run with these cubes are going to be unsanctioned, because they're entirely proxied. We're not going to be playing with like real Black Lotuses. Like the vintage cube is powered. It's got the Power 9. It's got dual lands. There's a lot of stuff in there. So basically, what you'll do is if you're going to come in and play, everybody will just buy a pack that's going to play with the cube at that point. That's going to be in the draft. There's going to be 540 cards in the cube, which means it's going to give us 36 15 card packs, which means that up to 12 people can draft and play together. And so it's just going to be people getting together and playing. And so I hope y'all enjoy that idea. I'm going to even show you real quick. This is the storage box for the vintage cube. Literally, it's a cube. And so I'm excited about that. Some of my favorite memories are playing. That's why earlier, Lloyd, when you asked what are your favorite sets to draft, I really like drafting Cube. Cube is so much fun. So when people buy packs, basically they would throw those packs into a prize pool and then decide how they're going to divvy them up before they start playing, and then they will play, and then whoever wins or gets 3 wins or however many you do, you guys will divvy up the packs amongst yourselves, or you can everybody buy a pack and everybody just open a pack and keep it, and then you guys just draft with the cube. So should be a lot of fun. hopefully. And then the very last thing we're going to do, collector booster. I am super stoked about opening this. I've been seeing some very interesting serialized cards. The Doctors are all serialized in this set. And I think if you pull a Doctor, like if you pull the 13th Doctor, and you pull the serialized one that is number 13, I think you are potentially sitting on a gold mine with that. That'd be really, really cool. All the Doctors I've seen so far are really high numbered as far as their serializing. I love the fact that there are dinosaurs in the Doctor Who set. Just so you know, nothing in these packs is not available in the Commander decks that came out with this set. So there's an alien and a dino token. Super awesome. Here we go. Let's get into it. A Montaña. The 9th Doctor. Very cool. So, haste into the TARDIS. Whenever the 9th Doctor becomes untapped during your untapped step, you get an additional upkeep step after this step. That's really cool. Sunken Hollow. What? That is sweet. An island and swamp. Sunken Hollow enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Very nice. Return to Dust. Now that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about removal. Exile target artifact or enchantment. If you cast a spell during your main phase, you may exile up to 1 other target artifact or enchantment. That is removal. Oh, snap! Look at that. Wow. The face of Bo. Alien Advisor. You may cast a spell with suspend from your hand. If you do, pay its suspend cost rather than its mana cost. Activate only as a sorcery. That is really cool. Farseek. Search your library for a plain, island, swamp, or mountain card. Put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Very nice. Extended art. All of history, all at once. Time travel. Storm. Nothing like a card with just 2 keywords. No explanation. Just 2 keywords. That's it. So funny. Alright. We have Celestial Colonnade. Celestial Colonnade enters the battlefield tapped. Add a white or a blue. And you can tap 3 white and a blue until end of turn. Celestial Colonnade becomes a 4/4 white and blue elemental creature with flying and vigilance. It's still a land. It's interesting. Everything comes to dust. Convoke. Exile all creatures except those that share a creature type with a creature that convoked this spell, all artifacts and all enchantments. Wow. That is we're getting a lot of these. A lot of land. Temple of Triumph. I need to start moving these over so you can see everything a little bit easier. Temple of Triumph. Enters the battlefield tapped. When Temple of Triumph enters the battlefield, scry 1. It's a white or a red. Ooh. Rose Tyler. Rose Tyler gets 1/1 for each time counter on it. Whenever Rose Tyler attacks, put a time counter on it for each suspended card you own and each other permanent you control with a time counter on it. Doctor's Companion. Oh. Prairie Stream. Dude, these are beautiful. Another plain island. We had a Celestial Colonnade earlier. What we got? I think this pack wants us to play white, red, blue. The only card that doesn't fall into that category, Sunken Hollow and Farseek. Everything else falls into that category. Prairie Stream, Plain Island. Prairie Stream enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. That's amazing. Got another black-blue land, Shipwreck Marsh. Man, this pack was full of land. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that right? 5? Wow. Shipwreck Marsh enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Blue-black. So we got another blue-black land. The 7th Doctor. The TARDIS version of the 7th Doctor. That's sweet. I think that's the one that the prof dressed up as in their Doctor Who Commander game. Shuffle up and play Commander game. And last but not least, we got a second Rose Tyler. Let me slide everything up just a bit so you can see the stuff here at the end. Rose Tyler. Wow. So yeah, we have only 3 cards that don't fall into the blue, white, red color scheme. But, man, that's really cool. So that probably is like the only Doctor Who collector pack I will ever open, and I immensely enjoyed that experience. I hope that you also have enjoyed the pack therapy we got to enjoy together. So if there's anything that you saw in this stack, or anything that you saw in this stack that you would like, you can comment down below. Please make sure that you like and subscribe, or probably the best way to support the channel would just be to go and watch another one of our videos. Go see some of the other content that we've put out. Or let us know down at the bottom, what are some things you'd like to see us do. We're trying to be more creative. We're trying to not just be like, let's just open packs constantly. But sometimes that happens. All right, last but not least, we are going to go over into our giveaway our giveaway screen. We want to make sure that we honor those who have been posting. Lloyd, you and Hypergoober are up for the win today. Let's see who gets it. The winner is Hypergoober. Congratulations. If you will, in the comments, or not in the comments, yeah, down below, if you will let us know what you would like. Is today my day? It's not. I'm sorry, Lloyd. I'm so sorry. Hypergoober, put in the comments down below what you would like as far as, let me pull off the sleeves again. I forgot to grab these earlier. I'm all discombobulated. So, I'm going to go back to the break screen. All right. So you will pick between white, green, red, pink, orange, blue, yellow, or purple, and you will tell us whether it's A or B, and then whatever is inside of that sleeve will be yours. All right, y'all. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our time together. The 7th Doctor bids you adieu. We will be back on Thursday, opening some Pokemon and doing some more Pokemon content on Thursday. I say that because I don't exactly know if we're going to do anything besides opening stuff. So some of that stuff is still in the works. Like each week, we need to do better at maybe like planning those out further in advance. So anyway, so womp womp. All right, y'all. It's been fun. It's been real. It's been real fun. I hope you have a great day. Later. Adios.